Hello, and welcome to
Gank That Drank,
a supernatural drinking game podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 2, Bloodlust and Dead Thing.
Of course, in every episode of Gank That Drank, guys, we assign ourselves each a bunch of different drinking game rules, and we play along with 2 episodes of the illustrious, of the wonderful, of the always brooding television show, Supernatural.
So much brooding.
There's a lot of brooding that happens.
And of course, after we watch the episodes and play along, we are going to get right back to you and let you know how the rules played out, how we like the episodes, a little bit of discussion, a little bit of chit-chat. Maybe we're a little tipsy at that point.
Possibly.
But it's all part of our ongoing quest to curate for you the perfect Supernatural Season 2
Woo whoop.
drinking game. I am Krissy Lenz, Director of National Comedy Theater.
And I am Nate McWhorter, also of the National Comedy Theater.
Tonight, we are watching episode 3 of season 2, Bloodlust. This is a Robert Singer episode. It aired October 12th, 2006. And we're also watching Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, a Kim Manners episode, October 19th, 2006. Are we still doing the spoiler
I think we're still
alert?
doing the spoilers. I was going to do it.
Do it.
Guys, you already know.
And gals.
Guys and gals. Guys,
People.
guys as the pejorative term, not pejorative, that's the wrong word. Guys as in the collective all. Because I just can't.
Why we all gotta be guys?
It's not meant as a gender thing.
Yeah, but what if it was?
It's not meant as a gender thing.
Yeah, but what
It's
if
just
I
a
was always
group of
like
people.
gals?
Then I'd be like, okay, let's go, gals.
Fine, so start again.
All right, gals. We're going to be discussing the entire episode. So there will be spoilers, which shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. And if you get upset, you had
12 years
to watch it.
I think 2 weeks is the generally accepted.
Is it now? I've been having this discussion with people lately because I waited a couple weeks to see Incredibles 2, and people were all like excited to spoil it for me. I mean,
Of who the bad guy is?
Well,
the beginning
no,
of the movie spoils the end of Incredibles 2.
No, they were like spoiling. I mean, I just didn't want any spoilers, and so they
Okay.
were discussing it. I just didn't know, I didn't know what the.
I think if you're not excited enough to see it in the first 2 weeks, then you put yourself on the food chain in terms of getting it spoiled.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I don't know. And y'all have had 12 years. So, what rules are we playing? Again, as we mentioned, this season, instead of playing about 4 different new rules each time, we're going to be collective. So by episode 10, we'll be playing a whole bunch of rules. Right now, we're not playing that many. We're starting with the rules that we played last episode, which are...
Wi-Fi. Take a drink anytime you don't know when or why they have Wi-Fi.
Yep.
You're confused by how it works. Rock salt and double it if it doesn't work. So take a drink if they use rock salt and double that if it does.
2 drinks if it doesn't work.
2 drinks if it doesn't work. If any of them for sure got a concussion.
Yeah.
If anyone for sure got a serious head injury.
Traumatic
take
brain
a drink.
injury.
And then this just says slam. Which I think is just anytime something slams.
A door, the trunk. Yeah, there's
right.
a slam. It's just a sip.
All right, and we're going to add 2 new ones this week, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the one I want to add is I want to add toxic masculinity.
All
So
right.
anytime someone says guys, we are going to, and it's not all...
And we'll talk about it when we evaluate the
yeah.
rules, but anything we see as being
Right.
the toxic masculinity of Supernatural, we're going to take a sip or a drink.
let's start with a drink we might modify.
Okay. And then I'm going to take 2 drinks anytime someone cuts themselves for a spell.
Yes.
Because everybody's palms should just be scar tissue.
Whole world in Supernatural.
Yep,
should
yep,
have
yep.
Scar tissue palms.
And so, we're going to watch these 2 episodes. We're going to play along. We're going to drink along. And we will see you on the other side. And we're back. All right. What do you want to do? Bloodlust or Dead Things?
I'll do Bloodlust.
Okay.
I think that's the easier one. I'm going to leave you with, I think, the harder episode to go over. So, Bloodlust. We see a woman running through the woods at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And she's beheaded. just beheaded.
Just yikes.
Just straight up.
Thump, thump.
Yeah. And we see it. They show it. It was pretty,
2 hits.
Yeah. It's crazy.
He hitting you, head hitting ground.
Head hitting ground. So we're like, what's in that? And then I really love... By the way, this episode does start with the road so far. So they did not do the road so far before episode 1 because it continued...
Immediately at the car crash.
Right, at the car crash. So they threw in the road so far at the beginning of this episode because 1 and 2 also was a 2-parter, obviously.
Yep.
Remember that. So we get, I want to say maybe our first actual classic rock, like straight up song. Back in Black. It's Back in Black. I think it might be the first time we actually get like a
babies come back to life.
Right. And we must also have some money now in the show where they can afford the rights to Back in Black.
Well, I mean, I think they did, and I think the first season was a modest success.
Yeah.
But they were still very much in danger of cancellation throughout the entirety of this season. Mm-hmm. But now finally we have some.
Yeah, so the boys, they're looking for a hunt. They find a hunt because there are a bunch of cows that have been mutilated and the 2 beheadings. Mm-hmm. So they go to this town, they pretend to be journalists and talk to the police, and they pretend to be doctors to get a look at the heads. And it doesn't
go well. Like, I like at the beginning of this episode because none of their, like, sneakies go well at all. Like, they're getting busted and they can't even remember the name of the Weekly World News. Like, they're not doing a good job. They're rusty. Yeah,
they're a little rusty on the whole hunting things.
But there is an Easter egg.
Yes, there is.
So early in this season that it happens. I don't know what you call them, nurse that they dupe into letting them scope out the body is wearing a name tag that says his last name is Manners.
I thought it was one of their name tags. That was like their alias I thought it was Dean's name tag that they show up close. And that they had faked.
Oh, maybe it was. I thought it was the dude's.
No, I think it was Dean's. I think it's Dean's name tag. They show that.
But Manners is a rock nickname. Are we not doing that yet?
No, I think they were doing. They did some rock in season 1, but I think they just for whatever reason they used Kim Manners in this one.
Right.
Yeah. But yes, Manners was the last name on the ID. We eventually get to the bar. They go to the bar to ask around to see because they think, once they learn from pretending to be doctors, they go and see the beheaded head and they see it's a vampire. So they go to a bar and they are looking for, obviously, any information on these vampires, and that's where they meet Sterling K. Brown.
Sterling K. Brown.
Yes, who is...
Of This Is Us fame.
And other things.
And one of my Squeefest picks for this year did not get past round 1.
No, he did not. And I unfortunately was part of that. I mean, I fortunately was part of it, but unfortunately for the 2 of us, he did not make it past. Anyway, so Sterling K. Brown basically reveals to them he's also a hunter, but he hunts specifically vampires, and he had a whole backstory on him because his sister was taken by or churned by a vampire, and he basically learned throughout the episode that this guy is more and more unstable. We learn as the episode goes on.
I think the pace of this episode is pretty interesting and cinematic, in the way that they keep cutting back and forth between Sam having a problem dealing with this Gordon and Dean being like, no, this guy's great.
This guy's my new best friend. We're besties now. So yeah, Dean loves him. Sam is a little more wary on him. And Sam gets kidnapped by the vampires who bring him and basically like...
Guest star Amber Benson, our second Joss Whedon guest star.
Oh, that wasn't even super.
She's Tara from Buffy.
Okay. I need to watch that show. Okay, yeah. Next up, Buffy. Join us for
the Slayer
Buffy
drinkers.
and Bourbon.
Buffy and Brews.
Buffy and Brews. So but basically, I love this episode because she kind of says like, "Hey, we're not killing humans. We're killing animals and drinking their blood, which is what you all do anyway. Mm-hmm. And you just eat them." What's the difference between drinking their blood and eating them?
Okay.
And so she says, just leave us alone. We're trying to be nice little vampires.
They're not exactly like using the whole buffalo, though.
No, they do leave the cows pretty like out there. But it's better than killing humans.
Okay, that's fine, but like, couldn't they live out back behind like a slaughterhouse?
I'm sure there's a way to like
get
work
the blood.
This out.
You know, in that episode that we did at Comic-Con this year, where the guy's like getting the entrails, like somebody's got to pick up the blood.
Yeah, someone, yeah. But Sterling K. Brown doesn't want to see that future. He just wants to kill them all, and that's where we get the real main conflict of this episode.
Gray area.
Right. He says this: everything's black and white. Our world is black and white. You kill what's bad. You don't kill what's not bad. And Dean at first is like, yeah, totally, bro. Like, let's do this. Well, let's go kill all the bad things. And then Sam's like, whoa, wait a minute, guys. I just got kidnapped by these vampires who seem pretty nice. And they let me go. Maybe, Dean, you shouldn't kill them. And they have a big argument in the parking lot, and Dean punches Sam. And we get all touchy-feely. Meanwhile, Sterling K. Brown dips out and goes and finds the nest, which is then where we go to. And we get this whole scene
where
the
vampires are packing. Like,
they're leaving.
Don't pack. Get the fuck out of Dodge. Like, what do you need? Your goddamn toaster? What do you need?
Quick, honey, we're about to be murdered. Get the
books. I'm halfway through why did I buy all of the Time Life series?
Do we need this couch? Where are we even going to put it? Are we going to strap it on top of the car? Yeah, so they...
But I do like, too, that the vampires have almost the exact same conversation that Sam and Dean have, which is like, we should kill them. They're threatening our lives. And then the lady vampire's like, no, we have to let them live because we're better than that.
Yeah.
So.
And then in the end, so we get the Sterling K. Brown torturing her, and then finally they let... They're able to basically wrangle up Sterling K. Brown, tie him up, let the vampires escape. And the episode ends without any...
It ends with fifis.
It ends with some feelings.
They're leaning on the car. They're like, oh, life is hard. There's so much gray area.
But that's such a cool... I love that concept of like, well, if these creatures, and we've talked about it, where if these things aren't doing anybody harm, why don't we just let them be? Because we should. They're just living their lives.
Well, except for that, and I'm just playing devil's advocate. Yeah. I'm not speaking out in favor of it's something like the death penalty or anything like that. But like, if you have a serial killer and you let them out of jail, then basically every murder they do after that is kind of on you, right? So,
well, I would say then if you find out that the vampire went and killed someone, then you kind of gotta... I mean, I know that's reactionary, but if they haven't given you a reason to lock them up, like, other than they might...
If you ask the mom of the person who's their victim, they'd be like, no, you know...
If they'd actually... But if these vampires are legitimately, like, trying to better themselves or, like, be a part of human society, where she says, we just want to live. We don't want... This is the way we found out to do it, is that we eat something we don't like. We drink the cow's blood, which we can't stand. Mm-hmm. But we do it so that we can have lives. And then you just want to come in and murder those people?
No, like I said, I'm just...
No, I know. No, not you. But I mean, like, the Sterling K. Brown and Deans of the world who were all gung-ho to...
But to some extent, like, you know, every vegan vampire nest is going to have one guy who's going to relapse every now and again and kill somebody's... dad, kill somebody's brother, kill somebody's innocent little sister. And so, like, just to make it, you know, even more gray and less black and white, it's kind of like, you know, serial killers get released from prison all the time and then they kill more people and we're all like, wait, what? Why did that person do that thing we knew they were gonna do? But yeah, I think that, like, in the scheme of things, that's an episode that you should watch. You should watch this episode.
No,
also because, like, Gordon is obviously going to be a character we come back to a lot in season 2.
Yeah. Did you have a lesson learned for this episode?
Vampire teeth are gross. Like, I just don't like the way Supernatural does them.
Yeah. It is weird, isn't it? They come out of little holes in the gums. There's about 6 on the top and then some on the bottom.
I don't love them. But I think I would say the lesson learned is that toxic masculinity is indeed toxic, as we will talk about when we get to the rules. All right, so children shouldn't play with dead things. Definitely the dud of this episode pairing. This is a skippable episode. This is a literal copy of an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's
interesting.
Ripped from the headlines of another WB show that ended up on UPN. Yeah, this is an exact episode of Buffy. Anyway, they're going to see their mom's grave.
Correct.
Which
Sam wants to do.
And because he's going to bury their dad's dog tags less than an inch under some loose grass.
He's just going to gently place them under a few blades of grass.
Yeah. And while they're there, Dean notices a circle of dead ground. And of course, he's like, oh, it's a thing. We got to figure this out and investigate. Sam's not on board. Eventually, they come to realize that, yes, indeedy, the young woman who was buried there is a zombie who has been reanimated by her friend-zoned dad's TA.
Yeah, it's just weird.
And she's back with a vengeance to kill her cheating ex who theoretically got her killed, although she shouldn't have been driving. Like, you know, they say don't drive angry.
Yeah, she was driving hysterical.
And she tries to kill her roommate, who is the woman who stole him away. Which, by the way, that girl is so dumb. The roommate, Dean breaks in at one point while he's on a quest to prove that this is a zombie situation and Sam's not on board. And she comes out in her underpants to find a strange, handsome man in her home. And she's like, get out! I'm calling 911. Which, by the way, yes, call 911. Don't tell him you're calling 911. Just go in and say, I'm not calling 911, and then fucking call 911. But he's like, I'm Cousin Alan. Her dad sent me. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for that.
Yeah.
That's how you get
murdered.
murdered.
Yeah, no, it's so, like, and she just believed it. Like, it wasn't even a hesitation.
No, she wasn't even like,
He was like, I'm Cousin Alan. Door unlocks.
Why'd I have the key? Like, show me the key. He didn't have a key. He broke in with a credit card. Anyway, the way that you know that the zombie is near is because houseplants die. And, like, everybody in the story, of course, has 25 houseplants, which doesn't make any sense. I don't even have very many notes on this episode because there's nothing to it.
Not much happens.
There's nothing interesting. There's nothing compelling. The first one has these questions we can talk about. Should we let a vampire live? Is there such a thing as a good vampire? If they're monsters, but they're not hurting anybody, do they deserve a chance to live? You know, all these interesting questions that are worth debating, but this one is just a monster of the week, except for that we definitely get at the end a single mantier.
One. Just one.
But as we know in season 10, a single mantier is all you need. Have you not gotten there yet?
No, I'm not there yet. I'm still in season 7.
Musical episode. But basically, Dean breaks down. This whole episode, he's like, look, what's dead should stay dead. What's dead should stay dead. And he basically reveals that he died and was dead and should have stayed dead. Which, honey, that's not the theme that we're going with on this television show. You can die if you wanted to. And I bet sometimes you have.
I bet when the writers were writing this, we're like, we're going to make him say all this stuff, and we're always just going to keep bringing him back to life.
He's going to die and come back to life.
Come back always.
Yeah, what is dead may never die.
Which is funny, because that's the best line in the whole... I love that line before he stabs her. It's like, what's dead should stay dead. Obviously being ironic.
Valor Morgulis.
Because he's going to constantly not be dead.
Yeah. Well, they both are. But yeah, so that's the only sort of redeeming part. And also I noticed that Jensen has attached lobes.
Oh. And we still are not figuring out Jared Padalecki's hair at all.
It's going to take a while. It's going to take a hot minute.
His hair is so bad.
It's going to take all of season 2.
Oh.
Is what it's going to take.
Just can't wait till this.
But yeah, you got to skip.
Don't watch it. There's no lesson to be learned in this episode other than...
Jensen has attached lobes.
And don't drive
angry
if you're hysterical.
Don't drive broken up.
Then you'll die, and then you're gonna want to come back
and
murder all the people that wronged you.
The friend zone is not a thing. Not every woman who you are kind to owes you sex.
True.
That's the lesson.
That is a good lesson.
Okay, so speaking of that, we're gonna jump right into our rules. So I'm going to skip through all the rules that we don't want to talk about and circle back around to the one we do want to talk about, right? So no Wi-Fi in this episode. They do all their research via legitimate means.
The library.
The library. And then no rock salt, no vengeful spirits, even though they wonder if it might be from time to time. 2 times we assumed they must have a traumatic brain injury, which was 2 drinks apiece, bringing us to a total of 4 in the first 4 episodes. There were 5 slams, which we kept missing and having to circle back to.
It's tough to count the slams.
Because they just happen, and you're like, oh shit. Nobody cut themselves for a spell, but toxic masculinity we gave 8 drinks to, and you did not agree with me on all of them. And they were as such. Number 1, Gordon refuses to let the brothers Winchester help him in his hunt to kill the vampires, which I believe is because, you know, he wants to be alone to do his grody, sadistic stuff, and also, like, to him, asking for help or companionship or teamwork is a sign of weakness, which is toxic masculinity.
Okay. I would disagree with this being a toxic masculine situation and this being just a guy who obviously has been living on his own for a very long time because he
of toxic masculinity.
we get his backstory because he says that his sister was taken by a vampire. And he woke up with the 2 things on, and he couldn't explain to his family why his sister was gone, and so that's why he leaves, is because it was hard. Like, his family probably would have cast him as, you know, the one who's responsible or whatever. For whatever reason, guilt or whatever, he leaves his family. So he lives on his own.
And so he learns not to trust or ask for
help.
help.
Which I wouldn't say is a masculine thing. I think it would happen to someone of any gender.
Women are taught and trained from birth that if you reach out to other people, you have a network, you look for support. Like, this guy obviously was raised in an environment where he was taught that asking for help makes you weak, and he learned that and he took it on his own and reinforced it. Asking for help makes you weak.
But I would say it's a guy who for a long time has been on his own because that's just
maybe
the way
it's because he can't ask for help.
But maybe that's because that's the way he wants to be. And obviously, but here's the thing:
but it's not a good way to be. It's a toxically masculine way to be. It's not the right way to be.
So the way he says he lives his life is where everything is black and white. And for someone to live like that, you have to kind of be a solitary person.
But you shouldn't live like that.
But who said? But in his line of work, that's what makes him happy.
But that's why. No, he's a psycho killer.
I understand he's a psycho killer.
So why are you defending him?
I'm not defending him. I'm saying there are people who aren't psycho killers who probably think that way.
And Nate, they need help.
No, they don't always
They can get therapeutic help for $40 an hour.
Oh my gosh.
No, being somebody who can't ask for help and can't accept help, especially in situations where that help is for the greater good, that's not a healthy thing.
But, okay, so in this instance that you're talking about where Sam and Dean are coming in and saying, like, dude, let us help you hunt these vampires, he said he's already been on this case for a year. He's obviously been successful because he's killed 2 of them already. He's been doing it just fine before. He doesn't even know who these guys are. Then these guys show up and they want to take something that he has worked on. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, look at it from his point of view. I think I don't think that it is necessarily like a masculine thing. I think he's just messed up. But I don't think it's a masculinity thing. That's my objection to it. I don't think it's a masculinity thing.
It's just a toxic human thing. Well, but here's the thing. He also, like, later it's revealed that the reason he didn't want them putting their noses in is because he knowingly was killing vampires who were vampire version of vegan.
Correct. Which is the other point I was going to make, is that he obviously is doing stuff that he figured they wouldn't approve of, which is why he doesn't want them snooping around anyway.
Right.
So that also is not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next...
that was the first of 8. I'm excited.
He insists on paying and calls the bartender...
Yeah, that's... Okay, yeah, we marked that
Sweetie.
one. That's terrible. Don't do that.
Here you go, sweetie.
Don't do that.
Shit.
Unless there had been some previous banter that we did not see, but no.
Don't tell me to smile. Don't call me sweetie unless I give you permission.
I agree with that one.
Especially if I'm providing you service
Yeah.
as a worker of the food service industry. All right, next we have Beat the Buzzkill. So they're at the bar.
Right.
Sam
says, I'm going to go home.
Finds it distasteful that Gordon is like, let's kill them all. I decapitated them. It's fun. I love it. Isn't it great how we get to kill all these things that are turning Sam right off? He's like, I'm going to go. It's not really my scene. I'm going to dip on out of here. And Dean says to him, hey, remind me later, I'm going to beat the buzzkill out of you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'll agree with that one.
All right.
Next.
It's
so. It kind of seems like it's just a joking around phrase, but I'll give it to you.
No. We don't joke around about beating people's personality traits out of them. That is toxic masculinity.
But
we're using physical violence to beat out of you the qualities which we find unmanly, which include respect for life and wanting to.
I think he said buzzkill, so. I think that it's
the buzzkill is that he didn't want to sit around and huzzah having decapitated somebody.
All right.
Okay. Next we have, as soon as Sammy is gone, Gordon of course is like, it's okay to love your job. Hey man, like this is awesome. We're great. Like I love being alone. I love killing things. And he opens up about his sister, and then Dean is like, well, I can't talk to Sam about anything with my dad. I'll talk to you, stranger, because you're somebody who won't have any impact on my life.
That is, yeah.
All right, next we have...
That one counts.
Okay, so then we get one which you also didn't agree with, which is that Sam calls Ellen, and she, somebody who knows Gordon, says, don't mess around with him. He's a good hunter, but he is a bad person. Don't mess around with him. Do what you got to do and get the hell out of there. She's somebody who has knowledge and experience. However, when this information is presented to Dean, he chooses not to listen to the perspective of a woman who has both knowledge and experience, and instead says, well, Gordon didn't say that. He says vampire's bad.
I would counter this with, I don't think Dean's reason for discounting Ellen's intel is that she is the reason why he's discrediting it is because she's a woman.
And yet the fact remains that he discredits. So if
understand.
Bobby Singer was
right,
like,
if it
stay
was
away
Bobby,
from, then he would have been like, oh, Bobby says so.
I don't think he would have, though, because Dean. He would not have, because Dean was so in this moment in this episode. He is so. The episode is called Bloodlust. Mm-hmm. He's so set on getting these vampires and getting that. I don't think it was. It could have been a man. It could have been Ash. Said he could have said, I just called in the Roadhouse, and Ash said that this guy's not a good dude, and he would have been like, and his whole, but he gave his reasoning why not. He didn't want to. He said we barely don't even know her, and I know that Sammy says, well, we don't even know this guy back. I get that, but I think that Dean's reasoning is just that he was blinded. He wanted to believe what he wanted to believe. That he doesn't know. They don't know Ellen as well as they will. And he's just like, whatever. I don't care about what you have to say. Like, I'm set on this. This isn't like my argument with it was that his reasoning isn't because she's a woman. His reasoning is because they're there in the moment, and he was set on it. It could have been anybody.
I hear what you're saying. He wants to believe what he wants to believe, and he'll listen to any evidence that supports it and not listen to any evidence that drags from it. Also toxic masculinity. But I think the question that people need to start asking themselves is, would he have blinked twice if it was a man he trusted who had knowledge and experience? And the answer, I think, is yes, that it would have changed his opinion of the information that was being presented if it was a male hunter who was
But later on they listened to Ellen and Joe all the time.
Right, but he has to learn to trust a woman. He trusts Gordon implicitly, who is a man who shares his views of like fight, kill, let's not think too hard.
All right. Well, yeah.
So moving on, I say it's toxic that even though Dean has defeated Gordon in their fisticuffs over who has the right to live, he continues to taunt him, to punch him, to basically try to impugn his masculinity in order to be the winner.
You wouldn't get an extra punch in on somebody like you're really mad at?
punching is not my go-to solution.
If they were like tied up and it was okay,
Tying up is also not my go-to
if the situation dictated an extra punch, you wouldn't punch somebody.
And then the last thing we counted in the Children Didn't Play with Dead Things episode is just the whole storyline that this dude was friend-zoned and as a result felt he was owed sex to such a degree that he should bring this woman back to life.
Don't do it.
And stand in the way of her getting her own revenge enacted for her wrongful death. Instead, he's like, no, I was your friend. I brought you back from death. Now you owe me sex.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're 2 episodes in. You and I, Nate, had talked briefly about possibly even skipping season 2 altogether and cutting straight to a different season, a better season. And then when we really were looking at the episodes, we sort of decided that we thought that each season was looking at and each episode was worth looking at in an effort to be real completists and just really watch it all, because there are things you forget.
Well, and it's obviously it's really fun, even in the seasons that you think are gonna be not as exciting or not as lame. It's still not as lame. It's not as lame. That are gonna be maybe lame, but they're not. They're not lame because it's a good show, and they still write good stories and do fun things. And there's a lot of episodes when we kind of looked at it in season 2 that we felt that it would be fun to do. Even the episodes that aren't good, I think they're fun to do. So I think, we're just going to I want to keep trucking.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep trucking on what we're doing. And, it would have been easy to skip to a maybe more exciting or memorable season. But some of these early seasons, it's fun to see where they came from and see how bad their hair was and see how it all came to... From the pilot, the road so far, from the pilot to the Scooby-Doo episode.
Okay, so next up we're watching Simon Said and No Exit. Simon Said, a Psychic Kid episode, and No Exit I'm pretty excited about. This is an episode where they take on the ghost of H.H. Holmes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's going to be great.
Yes. But if anybody out there has a suggested cocktail or drinking game rule, we gladly, happily.
And if you played along and you want to let us know how the rules are playing out for you, or if you're finding them hitting more times that we're missing or whatever, let us know. Jump on the blog at mostexcellentpod.com or join and comment on our Most Excellent Facebook group. As always, you can find out more about us on mostexcellentpod.com. And if you're in the Phoenix area, you can find Krissy and Nate at National Comedy Theater, which is nctphoenix.com. Thank you for listening, and as always, remember your Gank That Drank lessons learned. What were they even this time?
Oh, one of them was just friend zone's not a thing. Don't bring
friend zone's not a thing.
Women back from the dead ever. And the other one was just don't be toxically masculine, I guess, right?
Okay.
Cool.
And when you're out there in the world saving people and hunting things, the family business, keep the Gank That Drank motto in mind: to be excellent to each other and
party on, dudes.